I'm going live now. Hey, everybody who already tuned into the stream, I'm just giving it a moment for everybody to come in like we always do. Hey, man, I'm so happy to see my boy Foul finally make it. I feel like he like my number one fan. Oh shoot, people really starting to tune in now. Right now we sitting at 7. I think the high yesterday we hit is 21, so let's try to beat that today, guys. What is Andreas talking about? I want to watch anime. That was your pre-comment you was ready to write? Oh wow, what's up, man? I appreciate everybody dropping in the chat. What's up? I like it. So we already been here a minute. I'm not gonna waste a whole lot of time because you, like I said, get comfortable. You're gonna be here for a minute. So welcome to the A1 No Nonsense Forest podcast, 3rd episode, with a continuation of the private members, because there was so many good people that represent the community very well, in my opinion, and recommendations, as you saw in this video, that I just wanted to just split it up so it can be a good content for everybody. I gotta say, I'm from the United States, so right now we have one of the big representatives of my channel. We always joke about it and everything, because if you ever watched the previous podcast, he the dude who is always late to the stream. And actual Regal Victory, he would actually recommend it. I think it was like the first podcast video, they gave him a shout out towards the end, and so I'm like, you know what, I gotta have this dude on here, actually hear him talk and just see his opinions. And guys, I guess now it's at this point, if you would like to just introduce yourselves.
Who wants to go first?
You can go first, mate.
Well, mate, funny you say about the shout out on the other. It's Regal Victory, by the way, guys. Hello. About the shout out on the streams, mate. Like, and then you messaged me and was like, "Oh, someone's giving you a shout out." And I was like, "What the hell?" Like, I didn't realise that anyone did whatever. And then I watched it back and I was like, "Oh yeah," like, felt kind of cool. So whoever that was, thank you.
Okay. So yeah, also like tell us, like you already said your name, tell us like where you from and just a little bit about yourself, kind of like your Forex journey and everything. Let's just go ahead and knock that out the way.
Yeah, cool. Well, mine's, do you want the long version or the short version, mate? Mine's it's quite a long one, but I'll give you the whole sort of backstory kind of thing. So my real name is Josh, and I'm from just outside London in the UK. My Forex journey, it's been pretty long, really. So some of you kind of might know that my 9-to-5 job is in like investment management. I'm a private wealth manager, sort of in my 9-to-5 job.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty cool. So I feel really lucky to be able to do that. But the ironic thing about it is that he just bashes on me all the time, like my profession. Like, I'm one of those long only. He's always like, these guys are crooks and these guys are rubbish. So it's interesting just to see another thing. So anyway, so I started doing that straight out of university. So sort of at age 21. And then I started learning, obviously about how to, like long-term investment theories and, how to grow your money, over a period of time in a sensible way and so on and so forth. And then kind of got to the stage where I thought, I'd done a lot of exams, I knew a lot of stuff about it. And I think, young guy, kind of 22, 23, thought, I can do this. I knew a lot about my day job, obviously, and what that meant, but trading, like individual trading, isn't really part of it. So I thought, I'll give this trading thing a go. Like, it's easy. If all these guys can do it that I'm investing my clients' money into, I can do it as well, kind of thing. I just sort of ended up buying random shares and doing random stuff. Didn't really have like a strategy or anything really. So it was mainly just stocks and shares and all that sort of stuff. And obviously just failed miserably at doing that. Not sure that's the best thing to admit from like my professional point of view. It is different. It is different. My day job's very different. But yeah, so sort of like dramatically failed. And then what that kind of led me, like my opinion then was, like no retail traders ever make money, like consistently make money. I just used to like laugh at people and be like, yeah, all right, mate, yeah, of course you can. Like, you know what people say, like, I bought this at this and sold it in this and blah blah blah. And I was just like, look, I don't think anyone really consistently can do it. And the ones that can, like, were like really really rare breed, right? So through that whole stage. And then I've never really got back into stocks and shares trading because it's too like emotional for me. Like, it sounds weird, but like there's too much non-binary stuff. You know, like VP says about the whole supply and demand issue. You know, like with the emotions that go behind the share price and stuff like that. Until about a year and a half ago, I had this kid come into my work. And was doing like what you call it, not like an apprenticeship, but like work experience kind of thing. And we're like, oh yeah, go and speak to Josh, like whatever, he'll talk to you about the industry and what you can and can't do and blah blah blah. So anyway, I'm chatting to this kid and he's like, oh yeah, like I'm into trading, and he was like 17 or 18, I think. Oh yeah, I'm into trading. And then literally he rattled off the whole stereotypical thing of like, oh, you know, I've grown my account by 3,000% and then I just blow it up and move on, and you know, I use the RSI and all this sort of stuff. But he, you know, like he was doing that whole thing of like making £50 to like 1,000 and then losing it all again. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, what is this kid kind of doing? This is a weird world. Obviously, I knew a little bit about forex trading generally, but I just thought it was a bit of a scam, really, to be honest, all that sort of stuff. So then I was like, started looking into it, and I was like, oh, do you know what? I've got like a bit of extra time on my hands. I wanted to, you know, get a new skill. Still didn't think that I could make any money out of it, but just thought, so what? Sod it, a bit of fun, like give it a go. And then like tested out loads of different theories. I remember the first video that I like ever watched, because obviously the first thing I did was like jump on YouTube, obviously, as we all do. Yeah. First video I watched was, I can't remember the name of the guy, but it was on like the casino theory. So are you guys familiar with the casino theory, where it's like, you know, that you just have to be, you know, right 50% of the time, or, you know, whatever, and certain risk reward ratio and all that sort of stuff, right? Yeah, which is absolute rubbish, by the way. But anyway,
you gotta double down.
Say again?
I say you gotta double down. If you lose, you gotta double it.
It's all like the grid theory and stuff like that. It just doesn't ever work, mate. It's just rubbish. But so anyway, I went through all that sort of stuff. I obviously started doing a little bit of like price action stuff. Then started like trading the news, because I thought that I was a absolute revolutionary, because I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll put a buy order above the current price and a sell order below, and then whatever happens, I'll make money. Like crazy stuff like that. Yeah, just started like going through all that sort of stuff. I didn't trade any live money because it was just a joke and whatever, and didn't really know what I was doing anyway. And then I settled on, I think, like moving averages, like moving average crossovers is probably like the most logical thing to sort of like follow, I guess. Typed in moving average crossovers into YouTube, and the first video that came up was VP one. I only really found VP, like, I don't know, sort of September, maybe, August, September last year. So it's only relatively recent, and like it was basically as if he was speaking to me in that video, because I thought, I was like, oh yeah, moving averages, pretty cool. You know, they work really well, and he basically was just as if he was speaking to me and was like, mate, you're an idiot. Here's why. And I was just like, oh yeah, fair play, man, fair play. Like, I think, yeah, so and that was where I was like, yeah, so VP is, from that moment onwards, literally just was completely sold on the whole principle of, not necessarily just foreign exchange trading, but the methodology like he brought about, because I was like, my point of view is, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit here, I will get to the point eventually.
You good?
I always just thought that the biggest liability in trading is us, like is our human nature. We're just rubbish at like controlling our emotions and stuff. So I was like looking for a binary and sort of like repeatable strategy that I could just kind of like hone and use. And then when I found VP stuff, just religiously watched it. Like it was pretty sad. Like I must have watched every single video in about 2 weeks. Just smashed out the whole thing, and I've been sold ever since. So yeah, that's a snapshot as to how I got into FX. Really.
It's funny. I'd love to say that you're being sad, but I did exactly the same thing. As soon as I found it, I started binging.
Oh, hello, Mark. You went out. Regal, can you talk?
Yeah, buddy. What? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think Mark mic went out. But I guess anywho, I'll just fill in the time before Mark get his mic muted. And whenever you do, you could just hop back in talking. But
oh, you lost his mic. Sorry.
Yeah, because he was in the middle of saying something and it just went out. But I gotta say, your story is. It's really, really cool. Like, I always kind of thought of myself one day, like, actually doing something with Forex, like trading in the office or something. But then I'm like, I don't know about it. I think I kind of like how I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's really interesting, mate. That's really interesting because, like, from my perspective, so I kind of already manage money now. Like I manage investment or like clients' investment portfolios now, and like I found this as all completely like just a hobby, right? Just something that I was kind of cool, a bit of time. It was like a leisure activity. And more and more time that goes on, I'm like, hang on a minute, like I can add real value here. If I get to the level where I'm super professional and I'm doing really well with it and it works, it's consistent and whatever, why can't I bring that as an added benefit to like my clients? So investing, like managing an investment fund or even a prop firm or like that, because it was interesting because like obviously I'm a long only investment manager, like I'm not allowed to short the market. So when the whole world went kind of crazy with that shall not be named in March time, the end of Feb, March, basically my clients' portfolios all dropped. I was powerless. Like you can't do anything. You can't shut the gate once the horse is bolted. So. I felt really powerless, so it was kind of like doubling down on it, and I was like, hang on a minute, I really wish there was a way I could let my clients benefit from when the market goes down as well as up, and just little things like that, and then see all the amazing. Sorry, mate, go on.
Yeah, did you actually see it coming?
No, mate, no, not at all. The problem, I mean, we don't want to stray into like financial advice here or anything like that, but the markets, like I had a sort of gut feel in maybe December or January. Prices generally were just a bit overvalued. Like I don't really know what that means really, but it kind of felt a bit bubblish to me. And I was seeing little things and whatever, and there was no correlation between the stock market and what was going on. And I just thought, I'm not really sure about this. But if there's one thing that is really, really important for like my dog, it's not about timing the market. Like if I could time the market, I wouldn't be on this podcast right now because I'd be rich and I'd be on some island somewhere, man, with a lot of money. So. No. Anyone who says they can predict, what the market's going to do is lying, basically. And that's why I love this approach, like what we do now. Because it takes all of the I think that, or like I think the market's going to do this or that. It's like, well, no one knows, man. Like you just have to have the fundamentals in place, and the fundamentals of like what I do in my day job is just having like a diversified portfolio across different asset classes, sensitive to people's attitude towards risk and timeframes. And just picking good fund managers that can potentially, a little bit time the market, if you see what I mean. So it's a completely different psychology. But yeah, no one saw it coming. And the oil prices, man, that was just the cherry on the top.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I know I would never be able to predict a market. But I mean, one interesting thing. Go ahead.
Just no one can. Like, no one can predict the market. I think there are lots of things where you can look at data and say, well, look, a sensible human being would say, this is a little bit overvalued or undervalued or whatever. I'm not talking about currencies, obviously, but talking about, just general asset prices. But yeah, you can't tell. You just can't tell where asset prices are going to go. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, and I gotta say, one thing. I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but like, far as like the United States, saying that like even though we're in terrible conditions, the SP, what is that called? SPY, I think it's called.
500.
Yeah, S&P 500. It's still going up, and at first I was just wondering why it was going up, but then coming to find out, the top 5 companies like Google, Amazon, Apple, all these online industries like Netflix and stuff is really carrying it. I'm like, I would never expect that.
Yeah. 100%, mate. Like, sorry, Mark. Go on, mate.
Oh, that's all right. I was going to say they'd be making all the money at the moment on their computers.
Absolutely. Like, I always think of it as a game of tennis.
Yeah.
Like, there's always someone who is hitting the ball back. There's always someone who's winning and someone who's losing all the time. And it doesn't matter what happens in society. There is always a winner and a loser in terms of like, stocks and stuff like that. It's one of those things that, as you said, like you look outside and you think, God, the whole world's, falling apart. But that's what we're all doing. We're sat at home ordering stuff off Amazon and watching Netflix. So it's like a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, I think we done spent a whole bunch of time with Josh and his story and everything. He actually got us off topic. Mark, could you do us a favor and just tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I certainly can. He was taking over the podcast there for a sec. All right. So I'm Mark K on the Discord. I don't know if you can tell by my accent. I'm from Australia. Chris didn't know I was from Australia when he heard my accent. If I'm a bit slow today, it's because it's at the moment it's 1:58 a.m. in the morning, so it's really early. The only reason I told Chris I'd do this is because he promised me he'd give me his Holy Grail C1.
No.
Just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Mark, it's the RSI.
My boy Mark played.
Have you guys seen that going around the Discord?
Yeah.
Where it's like the file and it's called Holy Grail.
Oh, I never downloaded it.
Yeah. I downloaded it just to have a look. It was so fun.
I mean, you're trying to think, man.
I'm currently using it in my algo.
But Mark, how did you find Forex and stuff? Then how you found No Nonsense Forex?
Right. My story won't be as long as John. Right. So one of my mates at work, he was doing Forex in his spare time and spoke to me. I went, that sounds pretty interesting. So he sent me. I looked up the book again that he sent me, and the book $1,000 to $1 million in 80 days by David Shepard. That sounds realistic, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that was about 2 years ago, and I had a quick look over it, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe I'll do that in the future. I didn't have time to do it at the time because I've got kids, and life revolves around kids when you have. So anyway, last year my son, he turned 17, so he got his car, and all of a sudden I wasn't like a taxi driver anymore, and I had all this free time on my hands. So I started looking in Forex again a little bit, but I was just like dipping my toe, having a look here and there, and then I came across VP's videos while I was painting my house. Oh, not videos, his podcast. I was listening to his, I was looking for stuff to do while I was painting because I was pretty bored. So, had his podcast blaring in my ear, and I was hooked from then.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I gotta say, and I share that with y'all too. Y'all not alone. Whenever I saw my first 2 VP videos, I was hooked, and I just had to binge it. I remember because I used to go to summer school, and it was about a 30-minute drive. I always have all his podcasts just playing on the way down there and back. Yeah, every Monday morning I was looking forward to that, and hopefully maybe this could be something weekly to kind of substitute that. I know it's not at that caliber, but it's something. So speaking about no nonsense Forex or anything, I'm noticing both of y'all kind of jumped in at different times with no nonsense Forex. Do you think you will be either better or worse? So what would your thoughts would be say if you was there from the very beginning, when VP posted his first video, you was able to find him? How would you think that would have affected you, or made you different than what you are now?
That's really interesting actually, because I hadn't really thought about that. But because I came into the play quite late with it all. So sort of September time. So sort of 80% of his videos had already come out by then, I think. Mm-hmm. And certainly I didn't learn about the Discord until because basically what I did was I was right, if I'm going to watch all of his videos, I'm going to go right back to the start and watch them in chronological order. So I sort of relived that whole journey kind of thing, but in 2 weeks. So, I didn't really know about the Discord until quite late on in the journey and stuff, because it was all at the start. It was ask VP and blah blah blah. So I think that it was a real advantage for me personally. Basically have a pre-packaged finished thing that I could go and learn. I think because this is also how sad I am, I don't know about you, Mark, but on the Discord, when I first joined, I was oh man, there's some really good stuff in here, I want to get as much out of this as I can. I went all the way back to the start on the first posts from in the main channels kind of thing to pick up what some of the first guys were saying, and it was crazy because they didn't know what the next video was going to be. So I'm sort of sitting there reading it, having watched all the videos, and going, these guys are second guessing it and thinking about it, and they've got their own ideas on stuff. And so I think I don't know whether it's been any better or any worse, but I found it really cool that I was able to sort of consume all the material, really do all the material in an intensive period of time on YouTube. Find out about the Discord and be cool, right, I'm going to jump on there and get all of the content straight away, and all of the good valuable bits straight away while it was hot, Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we're probably better off from jumping in a bit later, I guess.
Mark?
I agree with Josh. It was definitely better jumping in late. I can't imagine having to wait for each video to come out once a week.
But I think I don't know, cause I know, like, far as like with me, like I said, I'm a binger like y'all, but I think cause I joined in early March of last year, so I think he was still like right around the middle. He was in like the latter half, but I still had to like wait, and so during that waiting time, you had nothing else to do but back test and literally work on what he told you to work on. It's kind of like it was a class that it was Forex 201. He'll give you the lecture, then you have to go back and work on it before the next lecture come around, right? And I feel like for me as a trader and everything, it helped me a lot. And it's like I also cheated a little bit. My first video, he was talking about the Discord, and so I hopped in that. I didn't really talk a whole lot in the beginning because I didn't want to get exposed like everybody else was getting exposed by Judge like last night. Cough.
Same for everyone, mate.
But yeah.
Hey, Chris, did you get to ask VP a question?
Nah, I didn't get. Why would I didn't get to ask VP a question. Oh, I know what you're talking about, man. I was so hot because I think he ended it in late February. I'm like, bro, I was mad. 'Cause I watched that. It was like a new podcast where he said that as VP is gone and I'm happy about it. I'm like, what? I could ask you a question? But nah, it probably would have been something stupid.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you what you would have asked him.
Back then, I don't even know. I think I was, cause for me just being such new and hearing like him saying like, okay, I got a week left to ask questions, I'll probably rush and ask something stupid like, can I make an algorithm off my phone or something? Cause that's what I was really big into. But yeah,
I'm on the beach in Dubai, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad it ended. It probably saved my face. But yeah. So I guess the next question would be, what would y'all say in part of you learning no nonsense Forex was the hardest part?
Do you want to go first, mate?
No, you go first. I'm thinking about the question.
So what was the hardest part in sort of like building the algorithms, stuff like that, or just generally?
Building an algorithm, learning it, or just anything.
I think learning like the content was pretty easy. Not because it like everything else. It just made complete sense to me. So like every little bit that he was talking about and building upon just was completely logical, with no no sort of nuances to it. It was just plain English. So I think like the actual consuming of the content is pretty easy, which is I think why people get really annoyed when people don't do that and then ask questions. It's like, mate, just go and watch videos. It's like not hard, but I think the hardest thing for me, and it's still something that I'm like battling, and it's a question I want to ask you actually, mate, as well.
What's up?
Is when you're building like an algorithm, right? And we don't have to answer now, but like, the hardest thing for me is when you're building an algorithm, particularly when a lot of guys are looking for C1, C2s, like the win rate element of the algo build. It's kind of like, actually, like what is it really we're looking for? So like some people have I know there's no right or wrong answer to that, but there's so much sort of differing opinion on how to test, when you test, like for what you're looking for, amounts of trades, manual, EA back testing, all this sort of stuff. I think that was the biggest thing for me, was like, started testing as VP like told me to. Then I think because we're all sort of like intelligent, critical people, started sort of like questioning it a little bit and being like, oh well, yeah, but what about this, or blah blah blah. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is almost like overthinking the rationale and overthinking what it is we're supposed to be actually trying to find in our back testing for a lot of this stuff. Because it was like, right, okay, well, and when is my C1 good enough? Right? So like, things like that I think is the hardest thing for me personally, to be like, right, people will just sort of flippantly say, well, as soon as you've got a C1 with 60% win rate plus, you move on. And it's like, well, really? Like, is that really what we're going? So for me, it's kind of that is the toughest part of it. The consuming the content and just listening and learning is easy and enjoyable, I would say, or it should be enjoyable for everyone. But it's actually like once you get down to it, and you know, finding the indicators isn't hard. All you boys have done all the hard work anyway on the distance. All you got to do is just, you know, apply some critical thinking to it, and just be like, oh, actually, like, not that hard. You just go through them or whatever. But it's that line in the sand to be like, right, this is what I want from a C1. What does that look like? This is what I want when I add my C2 onto it. What does that look like? And because there was no right or wrong answer. I know that sounds quite sort of like I want the answers to be given to me kind of thing, but that's the only thing that I struggled with, and I'm still to this day, really, I guess.
Yeah, I feel you, and I think and I actually now hearing it, I'm hearing like a lot of people having that same problem, and kind of like why I made my channel is that a lot of people don't know how to backtest, or like what to look for and things like that. I think that was like a needed for like the VP content, this kind of like supplemental instruction. But to like answer your question, and like everybody else in the audience who have that same question, I would say just have it like a framework or your mindset to just say, okay, well, I want to start off having a 0-line cross confirmation indicator, or a 2-line cross confirmation indicator, and then kind of just go from there. Because after you make that determination in the beginning, I mean, don't feel like you're trapping yourself and you're isolating yourself, because at the end of the day, you can always make another algorithm. You can always do the other side. And I gotta say, a lot of times, don't be afraid to go for it. So like, say you start off like, okay, I want to have a 2-line cross confirmation indicator. Okay, that'll give you some structure, because you know what you're looking for a good C1. You want a good 2-line cross indicator that has 60%. And then from there, you just kind of got to play with it, with the numbers and things like that. Like, okay, I like this amount of trades. It kind of fit me. Or, hey, I need some more or some less or whatever. And then it give you some structure for your C2, because, you know, your C2 indicator either has to be a 0-line cross or on a chart indicator. And then after you get those two down, it's kind of like you just really just working at it, because baseline and exit indicator is, I prefer it to be on chart, but some people like exit indicator, a 2-line cross or something like that. I ain't never really seen an exit indicator be a 0-line cross. Have y'all?
Never seen that, mate. No. What's just, sorry to butt in, what is your opinion on the absolutely famous topic or infamous topic on the Discord, and this is to you as well, Mark, on counting like the shortcuts in trades? Because like literally every time I go onto that, it's like it's no one's got a solid answer. I know people like really care about it, don't care about it, and like I just want to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Well, one thing is, I made a whole video about chalk it up, so you see I care about it a lot. And so I would say with like chalk it up and things like that, I would say care about it, because like in my spreadsheets, and just know, let everybody know it's available. You can come ask me for it or anything like that. It don't even matter. You have a regular win rate where, like what VP is saying, you kind of just take all the trades that hit your take profit or stop loss. Then you have those chalk it up trades, and the way that I view them is that it's chalk it up trades. But so here I'm gonna give you the example. So say we have a zero line cross, right? You just got a signal to go long. You would press the buy button, and then you have another signal that goes short. So that in VP mind, not VP, and everybody else mind, that's a chalk it up trade, and everybody automatically assume that's a loss. The way that I like to do it is I like to just act like I'm a kid. Just say, okay, press buy when the line goes up, press sell when it go down. Don't worry about exiting, because what that showed me is, if I really need to exit my trade, if my C1 indicator flips. Because let's just say if you have a fast C1 indicator that give a whole bunch of false signals, then you may not need to exit whenever it goes the opposite way, because it's too reactive. And so that's just my kind of like higher level thinking about it. So like the way in my spreadsheets and everything, the way I count chalk it ups and everything, it kind of gives me an insight on what I'm gonna need to exit my trade trades when I'm building my future algorithm. And that's kind of, I ain't gonna go on my tangent, but that's kind of like what I always like doing. I like putting in the work in the beginning and then being critical and thinking about it afterwards, and just having all the data and marking it out instead of having to go back and retest it and stuff like that.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. What about you, mate?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm just falling asleep here. No, it's really early. No, but with that, but you see ones like your crucial component, Chris.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So why wouldn't you, like, how can you not use it when it flips? Even if it's a fast one. I know where you're coming from with your thinking, but like, it's such a crucial component of your algorithm. Mm-hmm. It's like the backbone.
Yeah, but sometimes.
So are you really getting a true win rate if you're like letting the trade go to take profit or stop loss?
You said how?
Think it that way.
You said how, or am I?
Are you getting a true win rate if you're letting the trade go to take profit or stop loss and not worrying if the signal actually flips or not?
Because, like,
you know what I mean, or you don't?
Or I think it's like I think I have like a little bit of disconnect with your question, because like, I guess my version of a true win rate is saying, if I was to take this indicator and go live test it with it, how would it perform? Would I win? Would I lose trades? Just flat and simple.
Okay.
Because another kind of words here, boys.
Nah, you good. This.
Just think, like, so I'll give you an example of like what I think is really, really important, because so I've got an algorithm that I forward test now that is one that I've put together with no real like scientific back testing towards it. Just kind of wanted to get to the stage where I could forward test something to like test my trade psychology and in the flow of doing it, right? Mm-hmm. So what I was doing, so I thought, right, I can do that, and then what I'll do is I'll go back and build a quite proper algorithm, like from, and really put in the work towards the back testing stuff and all that sort of stuff. I basically just followed to the T, perhaps quite naively, the like win-loss thing. Like, right, does it hit stop loss first or take profit? And I was basically ignoring the chalk ups. So I got to a really good place where I was like, right, I've got a banging win rate, it's really good, it's working nice, looked good, all that sort of stuff. And then what I found was, it's the extent of those like nothing chalk up trades is absolutely killer to your like bottom line, absolutely kills it. Like, I thought like, I'll be little win, little losses, don't worry about it. But like, there was one where like, if it pulls me out just before I hit stop loss every single time, that's a nothing. It's like, yeah, but that's a killer when later on down the line, Yeah. So I appreciate the rest of the build is supposed to filter all that out and to get rid of those. But yeah, I personally think it's really, really important.
And like, speaking about what you saying, and I just now thought about it, like the way that I prefer to do things, and like you always say, even though we have a difference of opinion, there's no right way. Kind of like just the way that all of us prefer to do things. Whenever like you talk about those trades as nothing trades, or that actually all those nothing trades compound on top of each other and actually matter, that's why I like having it on my spreadsheet saying what was the result of that nothing trade. Did that nothing trade actually win, or did it actually lose? And then also another reason, and this kind of go back to like what Mark was talking about, the C1 indicator is the backbone of the indicator, but if you start thinking about the whole overall algorithm aspect, is that all your different exits will either be news, C1, baseline, your exit, a whole bunch of other things that can play a factor into you exiting, and all of those kind of constricts to your exit indicator really only exiting one trade every couple trades, because you have all these other different signs of exit, and you kind of give your algorithm a little bit more breathing room and being able to be in the market longer to make more money, and also in turn lose more money. But that's where you got to have a good or bad exit indicator. Like, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, man. Yeah, look, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, you're the one who's on prop firm.
I ain't gonna talk about no title or none of that. All that stuff don't matter. Mark.
Oh, sorry, you're breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry, but basically, so did you hear my little tangent?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh. So basically, make a long story short, I was saying with the confirmation indicator, you talking about how it was the backbone of the whole algorithm and things like that. Whenever, I was talking about that, and I also talking about Josh's opinion. Well, I said all those nothing trades compound on top of each other, and they actually matter. So what I like to do is actually count those nothing trades to see, did that nothing trade result in a win or a loss? Because that kind of, in turns, in my viewpoint, have a true win rate. And that whenever you're thinking about the whole overall algorithm aspect, we can exit with a C1 indicator, we can exit with an exit, we can exit with a baseline, we can exit with news, we can exit with a special nuance, we can have many different kind of exit and things, and all those kind of then constrict the exit indicator where it really can't perform its job, and it's kind of just like a bystander in this whole overall algorithm. And it's like, we don't need bystanders, we need people to actively participate and actually make a contribution to it. So by having it in that special case where you have a really fast C1 indicator, you can then allow your exit indicator to really perform and show you, okay, even though it's a whole bunch of nothing trades, like let's say you was going long, then it flipped short, and then it went back long. If you follow the regular rule, you'll have a win, a loss, and a win. But if you have it where you ignore the C1 indicator and you just have your exit, you could potentially just have one long trade that win. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
And what you think about it?
That's like before you mentioned it today, I hadn't thought of using that or doing that sort of with my C1 at all. It's something I'll have to look into in the future.
Okay, Josh, do you got any other different opinions on that?
I think again it's logical, and my view of like the whole setup, right, in terms of what the algorithm is actually for. Is like it's separated into two parts, isn't it? So what you're basically saying there is you have a system that says, right, enter the trade. And then what you're basically doing is saying, right, after that point, all I'm focusing on is my exit method, my exit strategy. At the moment, and I think this is what Mark was kind of saying earlier, was if the C1 flips, 99% of it go, oh, okay, well that's an exit signal, right? But I think that there is some nuance to be had around saying, right, this is my entry, go in on that, then entry systems kind of put to one side if that's like if that's the way that you're trading, and then go, right, this is my exit. So I think, and again, that's probably like more of a nuance, because I think it's probably quite a hard and fast rule, right? Isn't it? That like C1 flips and
now everybody, I want to give a disclaimer. In my prop firm evaluation and on the YouTube, I do exit when C1 flips. I'm just giving just a general rule to kind of just make it more available for everybody, because everybody not going to be able to understand it and just exit whenever the C1 flips. So even though I guess I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, I follow the rule, but then I want to make sense of breaking the rule.
Have you tried breaking the rule?
Of course.
Like in one of your algos? Yeah?
Yeah.
How does it turn out?
So I gotta say, recently, whenever I had my 2-line cross, my holy grail confirmation indicator that I told you I was going to give you after the stream, it worked terrible. Like if I would try to ignore it, because me personally, I have slow algorithms, so whenever I get a signal, it's a signal, it's not a whole bunch of false signals. So whenever that basically just the backbone of it. If you have a fast algorithm that's like ridiculously fast, then what we've been talking about for like the past probably 10 minutes will come into play. But if you have a slow algorithm, you need to pay attention to every exit that you can get, because it's slow. But yeah, so I guess let's just digress a little bit from that. So
It's a good chat, right?
yeah, and this is like the conversation that we need to have, sharing of opinions and things like that, so people can look back and just really say, well, A1 said this, but Josh said this, but Mark actually said this. I think I actually like what he said more than everybody else.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, that'll never happen. But anyways, so so now we're gonna get a little bit more specific and just talk about like thoughts on like the Discord. What would you say got you interested in the private group in the first place?
All right, I'll start off this time because Josh seems to hog all the camera time.
Hey, man, I feel guilty. Come on, jump in.
That's all right. It's funny. The first time I got onto the Discord, I flicked through all the various channels, and I knew straight away on the first day that I wanted to join the private group. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of asking one of the admins a question about the private group, and I had no reply, but
So you wasn't where you was in the general chat and you at the admins, how do I get in the private group?
No. I saw the like the private group channel. Mm-hmm. I read all the stuff, but I still had a few questions, and then I asked one, I don't even remember who I asked, but I had no reply, and it was like, yeah, okay, don't contact admins. I didn't really think about it. I'm sure they get 1,000 messages. I'm sure they get 1,000 messages a day.
Yeah. Okay. And then Josh, what was your first impressions of what got you interested in the private group?
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. It's like I'm a bit of a sucker for not titles, but like progression in stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, the information in the regular channels in the Discord, really great stuff, and like you can learn a lot of stuff from just being in that. But to me, it was kind of like, well, why would you not? Why would you not want to? Put in. I was already had back tested indicators and stuff like that I knew would qualify anyway. So it wasn't really anything over and above what I was already doing to in there. But I just thought one of those things where the quality of the philosophy and the opinion and the approach of people once they've made like an investment into doing something is just so different. So you get loads of random people that don't really care, don't really know much about no nonsense forex. They just kind of jump on, ask a silly question, get shot down, and it just was all a bit messy in the normal forum. But when you're when you're asking a question in a private group, know that people have kind of at least done what you have done to get there. So they will all have, a more logical opinion, usually anyway. And they're just a bit more invested in the journey. I guess that's the key point, is it's like, just want to be, it really is a journey for everyone, I think. And just want to be on the same path with all the same guys doing the same thing, really, because it's just we're all in it together, I guess.
Okay. Then I heard that you were talking about it just a little bit, but I'm glad you didn't jump the gun. So whenever you first got into the private group, tell me what was your thoughts like? What was your basically first impressions once you actually got in? Hello?
Much as if I get the mic, mate.
Oh. What'd you say?
Mark's mic went out again. Can't hear him.
I can hear you now. Yeah, you went out for a sec.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, dude. Do you want to answer that one, mate?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so first up, very, very welcoming. That's I don't know if you got the same impression, Josh, but yeah, everyone says hello to you, and very welcoming. And yeah, the first thing I did when I joined up was I just started looking through the history.
Yeah, me too. It was like really like pathetic, isn't it, in a way? But like as soon as you get in, you're like, yeah, I've done something. Like I'm achieved something. Like I've done something a bit more. It's so sad. It's really, really sad. But like, it was kind of like okay, like I've done something. I've contributed. And then I also felt a little bit like it spurred me on to contribute a little bit more in the normal channels as well. Because I think, like, you know,
I guess you have a bit of street cred.
Yeah, a little bit, mate. Like, it is that, isn't it? You know, like, and you sort of feel a little bit like, you know, haven't got it completely wrong. Like, otherwise I wouldn't be in there. And
yeah,
I think there was a little bit of that, and it gave me a bit of impetus to sort of like, you know, get a bit more involved and do some stuff. And there's such good quality information in that private channel. But yeah, I just dove in and probably like you, Mark, went all the way back to the start and tried to read everything I could.
Okay, I feel you. I gotta say, whenever I first got into the private group, I didn't get it good like y'all. I didn't get no welcome and no nothing, no introduce, welcome here. I got thrown in there and that was it. I feel like I got done dirty compared to everybody.
Probably changed a lot, mate, since you were in there, you know, since you first were in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it didn't change a lot. Like, now, it was back in the day, it would be really rare to see somebody message in the private group. Like, I would say you'll only see it like maybe once a week, maybe once 2 weeks. You'll see a message in there. But now it's kind of just like it's expanding almost every day. Somebody talking in there, getting better or something.
And that's how it should be, I guess.
Yeah, and
but I suppose when you first joined the private group, there were only a few members in there as well.
I think it was like 20 or 30 of us, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, because you know you can't never really know how many people is in it because it only tells you who online. But anywho,
Mark, are you gonna go for what's next? What's next, Chris? Is it like the algo one or?
Nah, what's next I was gonna ask you is just overall being in it for a little bit, was it worth it? You was asking like the next level in the Discord. Yeah, the private algo group is. Wow, yeah.
So I'm sort of thinking like, what's next? Do you know what I mean? Like, what can I do next? But I haven't really got round to paying attention to it yet. But yeah.
Okay, Mark, are you gonna try to get your name yellow, gold?
For sure. So I've put together an algo already, but unfortunately it didn't meet the 30% entry criteria. But my goal was when I first joined up to just get one going and just to start forward testing it. So this was my first week of forward testing, but now I've gone right back to square one. I've got my I'm starting to test C1s. You sent me that link with C1 indicators to test. Your So I've been going through all those indicators at the moment. Looking for that holy grail of a C1 indicator.
I mean, it's in there. You just gotta find it. But do beware. It's kind of like I will download big folders, so it's probably a good number of repainting indicators in there that I haven't got around to filtered out.
Oh yeah, I found a few of those. I can tell you which ones they are if you like.
Nah, it's all good. Or you might tell me off stream, but anyways.
Yeah.
So could y'all?
That's what I meant.
Could y'all answer the question? Was it worth it, like taking your time out to actually share your results and get into the group and everything like that?
100%. It definitely was. Like, as I said, I think a lot of the guys and girls that are on the Discord, they've probably, got enough data on, indicators that are giving them the pass mark to get into it. So it's not necessarily like finding indicators that give you, that win rate or whatever it is that you need to get into it. It's just the motivation and the application to be like, right, I'm going to take this more seriously. I want to get as much information as I possibly can. I'm going to compile my data and send it in. I think it's more like that, isn't it? Really, and it's a useful investment to make, I think.
Okay, Mark.
On that, I'd like to add that for any guys listening out there in the public group, to be honest, the entry criteria for the private group really isn't that hard. it's pretty easy. What is it? The test two C1s, or you can combine some indicators together.
Yeah.
It's definitely like it's a good sign. It shows it's the difference between guys who are just there watching and guys who actually want to put in and do that.
Go ahead, tell them. But yeah, I like it. So we getting towards the end. So tell me a little bit about like some short-term and long-term goals y'all have set for yourself and where y'all progress on them.
Oh yeah, sorry guys, my microphone keeps cutting out. But hopefully everyone can hear me. So
yeah.
my next goal is to join the algo group. And long-term goal, it's funny, I never, when I started doing this, I never really had one, but I guess you've got to have a long-term goal, and then you break it down into smaller goals. I guess my long-term goal would be trading with my own money.
Oh, that's interesting. You wouldn't want to go with a firm?
Well, before I started learning about, doing the no-nonsense Forex way, I hadn't even heard of prop firms at all.
Oh, okay. So, but after hearing it don't have you interested?
It definitely does, especially because you can have your name in purple as well.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sound crazy, but I naturally have quite high ambitions anyway. Whether I meet them or not is another point. As a minimum, I want to trade with real money on a professional basis. So I am obviously, I think the prop firm route is the sort of standard route that people would take. I'm still a little bit skeptical of prop firms. I think the business model is a license to print money for prop firms, but having said that, the ability to control larger amounts of capital and do all that is appealing. So the next couple of steps probably would be, after a good 6 months, 8 months of sort of forward testing, once you get an algo put together, would be to just get myself in a prop firm if I can. But genuinely, I've got real ambition to start my own hedge fund or investment fund and kind of lace what I'm doing in with my day job a bit more. And if I can combine the two, I think it'll be a really, really good mix. And if we're going to hire some of the best performing guys out of the Discord, we'll be all rich guys.
Hey man, I can't wait to get my job interview in my email. But anyway, I was just about to ask you that. So, do you think you could talk with your supervisor or something, or maybe with what you said you have clients, maybe start off like a private contract where you can trade for them or something like that? Do you think you'll be able to do something like that?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's not as difficult as people might think to actually get something sorted out and set up. Already manage quite a large amount of money, so realistically trying to raise more money via clients and stuff like that is something that's quite reasonable to do. It's just getting it structured and getting it managed in a way that is efficient. It's quite difficult in the UK to start up a hedge fund, and they're a bit of a dying breed really. So I don't really know, but 100%. I think lacing the no-nonsense Forex way into an investment fund where I can combine my skills, as it were, of the day job, and combine that with an added benefit of reading Forex the no-nonsense Forex way. Whether that's me, someone else, there's a lot of talented guys, it seems like, on the forum, on the Discord. So it's always a possibility, mate. Always.
Okay, that's good to hear. That kind of got me excited. Maybe I'm gonna pull up to London one day and come apply.
Man, at the live event, we'll have a beer and chat about it.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it, but anywho, So I guess the last question before we just open it up to the floor for y'all and the audience, what would you say would you have to give somebody who's watching or listening to you a piece of advice about Forex, the Discord, psychology themselves, or anything? It could be multiple points, it could be one simple point. It's up to y'all.
Go on, mate.
Right. Yeah, I'd say, you know, there are times whenever you're struggling, because we all do when we're testing and so forth. Just when you're in the Discord, look over to your right and see all the guys who are prop firm traders, and think to yourself, you know, maybe one day I can achieve that.
Okay. Now I gotta say, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, kind of like piggybacking off of you. A lot of people just think like trading with a prop firm is like so unattainable and unrealistic and stuff like that. Like, I would have to say, once you like put in the work, after you have your 6 months of testing, after you done spend so much time putting together algorithms, it almost feel like that's the only right thing to do, is to be trading like other people money. You done increase your value so much, and you done gain so much knowledge, where you almost, it's bad for me to say, but you almost feel like entitled to like having like your success and to like being able to have that opportunity, because think about it. Say if you were playing a sport and you worked on that sport for years and years and years, at the end of the day, you have the right to at least get in the game and play. You know, winning and stuff like that, going to the playoffs or anything like that kind of up for chance, but you done kind of earn the right to actually be able to participate, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Okay.
That makes sense. I've got one more.
Yeah.
It's probably with goal setting. Like, set yourself like, you know, big goals, but make sure you break them down.
And I think also piggybacking off of that, I think one dude said in one of my live chats, and I'm gonna remember it for the rest of my life, whether if it's Forex or whatever. Never, because you can get really discouraged just looking in the Discord and just seeing everybody else being successful or talking about they got this and this and that or whatever. He said, you don't need to compare yourself to another man. You just need to compare yourself to the man who you was yesterday, or woman. I apologize, but just basically you need to compare yourself to who you was yesterday and see if you gotten better.
Ooh, I really like that.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to put that on my wall somewhere. I have to get his name and give him props. But yeah, Josh, would you like to go ahead and say a little bit of advice?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite controversial, but I genuinely think this is true. Like, I think if you are a retail Forex trader, I think the only way to make money consistently is doing it this way. I think, like, second guessing like what you're doing and blah blah blah. I know there's going to be lots of people saying, oh yeah, but you know, blah blah blah. But genuinely, I think this is the best, most consistent way of doing it. So all you got to do is really learn like all of the content on like the back of your hand, because you need to be able to. You almost need to get to a level of like understanding the videos and the content and everything else where you can kind of almost teach someone else, kind of thing. And I just think that helps you contextualize everything and understanding like, why am I doing this, or what's the reason behind that, blah blah blah. So my advice would be, genuinely go back and just watch all the videos religiously, maybe 2 or 3 times all the way through, and then just get involved as much as possible. Just, you know, in there and learn your trade, really. You know, everything else just kind of falls into place, as you said, you know.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing what you pick up the second time round when you watch the videos.
For real. And also talking about it, like what you saying, being able to teach somebody, you don't necessarily just have to like just teach them. You need to just get to the point where somebody asks a question in the Discord and you could just spit out an answer without having to do your own research. That's like basically a short-term goal you could have, instead of like teaching somebody the whole content, being able to teach somebody that's their specific question that they're asking about. And it's just like what VP said, the same thing that you said, Josh, about no nonsense forex is a way of making money. He said, now there are exceptions out there that everybody loves to make it. Exceptions are not normal. People who use like trend lines, Fibonacci, all that kind of stuff, it's not bad, but it's not for everybody. VP was trying to make a forex education that was made for the general person, that everybody can do no matter what. No matter, like you say, you have a learning disability, if you have a short attention span, I guess, or just whatever. Anybody can do it regardless of who you are or anything. And that's just something I really appreciate.
Completely agree with that, man. Completely agree. Like, that's a really good way of putting it. Like, I have a relatively good insight into, how money people can make from the markets and stuff like that. And like, let me tell you, there are guys out there who are paid millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds. All they do is grow money by about 10%. That's all they do every single year. So like, this whole thing of like people saying about big gains, or I'm doing this, that and the other in Fibonacci and I think it's all, if that works consistently, then the stuff that I know, where to put clients' monies and stuff like that, it wouldn't be where it is now. It would be on these Fibonacci retracement traders and all this sort of stuff. If they could genuinely produce more than 10% a year, I think there's a very, very small group of people who might be able to do it. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, yeah, I can, and blah blah blah. But I've seen the dark underbelly of it all, mate, and like, it's really, really, really hard to make 10, 12, 15% a year every single year. It's really, really hard. And if you're doing that, you are right at the top echelons of what you're doing. And if you really wanted to, you could go and find a job where someone will pay you a lot of money to do that. If you've got a pot of 10 million quid, and someone comes up to you and goes, "Oh, I can grow that by 10% every single year," you've got to pay me 100 grand or whatever. Well, yeah, it's simple mathematics, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, like for me, I think the advice is literally just like invest in this methodology. I think I've seen, I might not have been trading forex for many, many years, but seen a lot of other strategies and a lot of other things, and I can tell it won't work long term. Because as I said right at the start, the main issue with everything is that the big squishy thing that's typing on the keyboard, which is called a human being, always ruins a trade, always, if it's down to their thought and opinion. And conversely, like, I don't think full algorithm, like automated EAs work either. I think this method is like the best of both worlds. You're trading on a discretionary basis, but a binary and black and white algorithm, and I just think it's the best way. So the advice is just jump all in, guys.
Wow, that's really well said. I like that a whole lot. Yeah, I think the only people that like really come to mind that I gotta say who can like trade at a consistent level is kind of like what VP did a podcast about, everybody who's on the ICT, who kind of do the Fibonacci and things like that. I believe those kind of traders they're profitable and everything like that. They're kind of like our yin, they are yang to our yin, if that makes sense. But
I'd put a lot of money on the fact that there's more profitable, consistent traders over this side, mate.
Yeah.
Guarantee it, man. Guarantee it. Any time, and when the human being is making, like I see on other YouTube channels and stuff like that online, they always say, "Oh, my thesis is this," or "My thought is this," or "I think that," and it's like, you don't know any more than my cat does, It's crazy. Like, I'm telling you, this is the best way to do it. It's a human being in control of a well thought out, logical, binary algorithm that gives you an edge in the market, and it is that. And what we've got to take care of is the psychology and the money management, and that is it.
Wow. I gotta say, you really surprised me. Never thought of yourself. I thought of you being a cat person.
I'm actually not. You know, the irony is I haven't even got a cat. I've got a dog. So, yeah. But he knows just as much about Fibonacci retracements as they do.
But yeah, man, yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen if we would to run like a simulation where like a dog would put his paw on the button and actually start trading. I think that would be a pretty cool video.
Oh, mate, listen, just by the randomness and like everything else, he would probably make money over the end. So
yeah, and actually, I asked this question earlier, and I want y'all opinions on it because y'all seem really well informed and stuff like that. So, say you building an algorithm, right? And it happened to many people that they end up getting negative ROI, right? How would you say if that one person would just say, okay, I'm gonna just do the opposite of what my algorithm tells me to do? So everything says set up for a long, and I'm like, okay, I'm finna short it. Would you think that person will make money, or what y'all think?
What do you reckon?
I love that question. They'd probably end up making money.
It's an interesting fallacy. So I had exactly the same conversation with my dad about this. So he's been in financial services for like 30 years or whatever as well, like before me. So he kind of does
what I
do as well. I got kind of indoctrinated into it, mate. So all that sort of stuff. But literally, so if you think about it, right, the logic would dictate that if an indicator gives you 40% win rate, if you just did the opposite of it, then you would get a 60% win rate, right?
Yeah.
I can't quite remember what it is, but it never, ever works out like that. It just doesn't work because of it's to do with the structure of like mathematical sequencing and all that sort of stuff. It just never really works like that. But it's a really interesting theory, and like someone should do it, man, and just see how they get on.
I might actually do that to see, because that got me really interested.
Jump on A1Fx and give it a little test and see how we get on.
Okay. And now we kind of just like in the conversational portion where it kind of open it up for anybody free responses or things like that. Like say we actually had at one point hit 25 viewers, so I appreciate y'all helping me break that and make a new record. And everybody in the audience, if you have a question, you can drop it. If y'all have one, y'all could hop in. But the real two quick questions I want to ask is like one, I ask this everybody in every podcast. If you had to pick one outstanding member to represent No Nonsense Forex other than VP or Judge, who would you say?
Mate, I know who I would choose. Andrew Murray. Andrew Murray 86, I think is his name. I think he was I think he was like second or third or something, yeah, or was quite high up in the thing. Anyway, like, so when I, firstly, like, whenever I see his comments or anything like that on a Discord, I think, yeah, like, this bloke is, like, rounded and understands what he's talking about and, you know, isn't too arrogant or, you know, anything like that. He just seems like a cool bloke. He's obviously doing quite well because he's, you know, up there in the back testing stuff, and I think he's prop firm trading as well.
Yeah, he actually traded with Maverick.
Yeah, and like it's so cool. Like, I messaged him a few times, like in the DMs on the Discord, because basically I was like, this guy obviously knows what he's talking about. Asked him a few questions, and he was really forthcoming. And really humble and really like cool to chat to, and I was just like a newbie on the forum on the Discord. So yeah, I'd say him. He seems like a cool dude.
He obviously must be Australian.
I've got to say, I'm not very happy about this like Australian thing. Being a POM, you know, it's the big Australian UK thing, you know.
Yeah, I hear you, mate.
Yeah, him, I would say, definitely.
Yeah, and that also kind of interesting. Most of the admins and everybody is like all Australian. I wonder if it's like a dictatorship, basically.
Yeah, they're trying to take over the world, mate. Let's try and get back at them while we can.
Mark, who would you say?
Look, you've asked this question before, and I knew it was going to be asked today, and I was thinking about it, and to be honest, like you said not to say judge, but I have to say judge because he either goes two ways. He either goes on a rant or says something really insightful. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I love reading his rants. They are so funny, but they also have so much truth and so much knowledge in them as well. And yeah, when he does say something, I always like make sure I read it and listen.
Yeah, I feel you.
It just makes sense. I don't know if you feel the same about Josh about Judge's comments.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I mean, look. Obviously, he's a knowledgeable guy, and you know, obviously knows his stuff and has been doing it for a long time. I don't quite know, like that's one thing that's always baffled me is like how these guys, kind of like in their position to start off with. Like, did they know VP or were they just really early on and kind of into it and whatever? Like, so yeah. So you gotta respect, you know, bloke with what he comes out with. It's very interesting to read his rants and stuff like that, and he's just an absolute savage. So, yeah, I mean, you can't not respect it. You know what I mean? Like, he seems like a switched on guy, adds a lot of value, and obviously invests a lot of time in the Discord. So you can't, you know, that you'd be naive to sort of say, well, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, mate. You know? So yeah, definitely.
Wow, that's great to hear. And I share y'all same opinion. I said in the general chat, if I ever see a green name with a whole long message, I know who what the conversation was about and who said it.
Yeah, man, 100%.
But I guess kind of like piggybacking off of like Judge and his rants and everything. If you had to say something in the Discord to just set everybody off, what would you say?
Go ahead, Josh.
Would set everyone off. I mean, I'm not going to go to the standard, you know, how I use the RSI or you guys trade price action or anything like that. I think like it sort of grades me sometimes when I see it as well, and sometimes I'll rise to the occasion and like really take the bait. But when people ask like really, really simple questions, literally, I just want to go Google it. Just Google it. So something sort of really, really, really simple that isn't necessarily like technical towards no nonsense forex. It's just something like, how do I upload an indicator? All right, mate. Like, we're not here to, you know, like support you. So it would be something like that. It would be like, mate, like if that's where you're at, you're about a year away from commenting, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sounds quite brutal, but it's something like that. Like, how do I load an indicator onto MT4, or why don't you guys use TradingView or something like that? You know.
Okay, Mark.
In terms of what would get a rise out of the Discord, I don't know, because we're pretty good at policing ourselves. Like, of course you've got the admins, but if anyone sort of gets out of line, there's always someone there to, you know, put them back into place.
Why are you playing? It was about 3 rants this whole weekend, Mark. Why are you playing?
I got involved in one, mate. I was very like, I had a beer, and I was like, nah, we're gonna go in.
Oh my gosh.
It makes me laugh when people get involved.
I know, it's sad, isn't it? What is it they say about argue on the internet? Like, no one wins if you're an idiot, you know?
I mean, I win by just watching it.
Yeah, that's the best way, mate. That's the best way.
You know, it's probably some 14-year-old on the other side.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. You're never going to come out, looking good, are you?
Yeah. And so, for Thai, who just joined. Oh no, actually, I'm gonna start from the top because that's what I said I was gonna do. So Caprica, he been watching a whole lot of the videos, and I really appreciate it. She said, "What do you think about adding a volume indicator last is the best method? I thought about adding volume after C1, C2. So I think that kind of like directed towards me, and y'all can answer the two afterwards if y'all differ or want to add on or something like that. The reason why I like adding volume last is because if you add it too early, the whole thing is whenever you test your C1, C2 indicators, you'll get hopefully a 65% win rate, right? But the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is those losses and those wins are not equal. All of those have different values to it. And so you may just say, oh, okay, you only filter out 2 wins. You don't know, maybe those 2 wins is what added 1,000 pips to your algorithm, but you will never know that if you add your volume indicator too early. So that's why that's what personally I like to add volume last, because it'll show you, okay, this is where I need to try to focus on getting filtering out these losses and these trades. I need to make sure I keep these trades in order to have my algorithm good and everything like that. What do y'all guys think?
Can I just jump in there, mate, Chris? I think other things that I have been really, really conscious of the whole time is curve fitting.
Yeah.
And I've started back testing with an EA. I'm really, really conscious of not like curve fitting and stuff like that. I think the volume aspect of the algorithm is like a really good example of that, because I was watching your videos, I was like, yeah, man, that makes complete sense, because a win is not just a limited win. It's not like one, it could be the biggest trend that you got into or whatever. And I just wondered what your thoughts were on, say for example, let's say you have 2 big wins in a pair from your system so far, and then sort of deliberately finding a volume indicator that just gets rid of the other stuff but allows those big ends. I know that sounds logical to do that, but have you had any issues with curve fitting around that, do you think?
No, because I'm the type of guy to where long as the big major players are in effect, everything else I kind of just let the chips fall and just let it happen. Now if you get into with a scalpel and try to just get every single loss out of there, that's when I think is you get into curve fit and everything. I was talking with a couple guys on the Discord, they DM me, and he was saying he just want his algorithm to just be 100% perfect and things like that. I'm like, that's you don't want 100% perfect. I know it sounds really crazy to say, but you want to keep some of those losses. You want to keep wins and losses. So like what you said, you don't get into the fact of curve fitting. And it's the difference between in my opinion, it's the difference between keeping your algorithm to you keeping those big trades than to fix your algorithm to where you only have those big trades. If that's all you focus on, then that's not the right aspect. The way that I use it is that I use that to just get me a starting point. Be like, okay, it have this big trend, eliminate that big loss. Okay, now I'm gonna run it through everything else, then make the decision if I want to keep it or not. It kind of just basically the way that I test it, it kind of like you knocking on the door, waiting for a second, and then opening it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Okay. Did y'all have any opinions? Mark, did you have an opinion about adding the volume indicator first or last?
Not really at this stage. I've just followed the general guide on how to put together an algorithm. So maybe when I put together about 5 or 6, I'll have more of an opinion.
Yeah.
I'll say one more thing about that. I think going back to what I was saying about algorithm being split into kind of 2 parts, with the entry side of the algorithm and the exit side of the algorithm. I think volume sits in a really weird space within that, because tree is like win rate basis, then obviously with the exit, it's all about, you know, how long you can ride those winning trades for and what your ROI is, right? So I think some people will view, you know, like I'm probably like 51% leaning this way, and I don't really know why, but the gut feel is that I kind of feel like volume should probably be more as like as part of the entry system kind of thing, and sort of say, right, well, it just use the volume indicator to increase the win rate of your entry system. But then I completely get your view, and it's like, I think that's what's made me, I'm probably like 50-50 now, to be fair, but like, adding the volume on, like at the end, it shows you the value of the ROI of the chop that you're keeping yourself out of, whilst keeping those new ones. So I don't really know, to be honest. And I think it's always been a little weird thing for me, and I don't really know why it was right at the end. But it does make logical sense to me to be like you can use it. You can use it either way, really, I guess.
Yeah. Because it's like, as y'all can attest and everybody can attest, finding a good volume indicator is so freaking hard to find. And so I believe you can have a good system without a volume indicator. It will be lacking. It could be room for improvement, but you can't have a winning system without a volume indicator. And that just on my standpoint. Do y'all think a person could have a winning algorithm without a volume indicator?
Mate, yeah. I think you could probably just have a winning. Depends what the term winning means, really, doesn't it? But you could have a profitable algorithm, I think, with just like C1 and exit, really, or just a C1 that gets you in and out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think volume for me, like I've tended to prefer more like a volatility indicator.
Oh yeah, for real.
Because I think like when you actually think about what it is that you're trying to achieve with a volume indicator, to avoid like sideways market. So what like a volatility indicator will do is just tell you, right, that the market is not ranging sideways, it's moving one way or the other. I really like just the inbuilt standard deviation that's on MT4 with a moving average over the top of it. I think that's like a really good indicator of short-term volume and volatility.
Okay, I think you like the third person who talked about that. I might actually look into that.
Oh, mate. So my volume indicator for my current algorithm is a standard deviation set to I think 5, and then if you put a moving average over the top of it and set it to like 30 or 50 or whatever, it becomes basically a zero line cross.
Yeah.
The moving average is so flat, you just go, when the short-term standard deviation goes over above that moving average, there is volatility and volume in the market. I found it just a bit more reliable than the conventional volume indicators out there, just a little bit, but that's just my opinion, and I haven't really done thorough testing it, really.
And so I'm pretty sure I know the answer to it, but just for like everybody out there, say if the market starts spiraling in a downtrend, will the standard deviation line still go up?
Yeah. So standard deviation is just like the degree to which the market is moving, kind of thing. So like, I think what it really boils down to is like the size and the range of the candlesticks in comparison to each other. So it's not very rare that you'll get like continuous days. It is rare that you'll get continuous days of like big ranging candles that are all the same sort of range kind of thing, like ATR range type things.
Yeah.
Standard deviation is literally just, you have that 50 periods, or I think I use 50 periods moving average on there. It's like a zero line general consensus of where the overall volatility of the market is, and then a shorter term standard deviation line. And it's interesting, like you'll just see it jump up pretty much like every single time. So yeah, I actually think a volatility indicator might even do a little bit of a better job than sort of like an out and out volume indicator.
Oh yeah, for real. But another question that I imagine people will have, and I'm just kind of like asking it just to gain more information and kind of just help more people out there. So like say with the standard deviation, say you have a flat market and you only have one candle that reacts to really big to news and then it's flat again. Would the standard deviation give you like a false signal saying there's volatility, or would it kind of still stay flat?
No, it shouldn't, mate. No, it shouldn't. And again, what you can do is you can play around with like the setting of the standard deviation, because obviously if you have it set to period 5, it only looks back over the last 5 periods or 5 days. But if you want it to be a bit less reactive, you should probably keep like the long term moving average quite high, because you want to keep that quite flat in terms of the flat line. But you could change the period from, let's say, like, I just put in 5 because it kind of looked to the eye quite good. But if you changed it to like 10 or maybe down to 3, it would because it does change obviously with a little bit of short term, because the volatility indicator, right? So it's going to change anyway. But yeah, it's I just think it's a bit more indicative of like market movements. I think personally, I might be wrong, don't know.
Okay. I gotta say, you brought a whole lot of value to this podcast, talking about it and everything like that. And Mark, if your mic ever come in, you can just go ahead and just give us a yell. But
yeah, mate, I'm back up again. I'm back up.
Oh, okay, good. So, out of all the stuff we've been talking, did you have something you would like to say?
No, not really.
Okay, I understand. So, now we're going to kind of like open the floor. Like I said, anybody in the chat can keep asking questions, or did y'all have any ideas or concepts y'all would like to talk about or ask about?
Question. So the algo group, is there more sharing in that?
So the way that I would say, because obviously you get into the algo group, you have to have a full algorithm. So I gotta say, far as like big scale sharing, yes, because like I said, you sharing like your whole algorithm, your whole system with somebody, and there's multiple great systems out there. But far as like individual like indicators and stuff like that, everybody kind of refer more to the private general chat, because it's more people in there, so it's easier to get a conversation out of those. But as the Discord continues to grow and everything, I'm pretty sure we'll just, as we saw from the private group. Whenever I first joined, it was nobody talking, to now it's a lot of people talking. That's how I think the algo group is going to turn to. So I guess short answer is kinda yes, yeah. But I gotta say, it's very worth it, because like say Josh, he make an algorithm talk about his standard deviation and standard deviation volatility indicator. He'll type that up in his report for the private algo, not the private algo, the channel that's for everybody got to post their algorithm. You could be like, oh, okay, and you can take that and test it with your system, or you can look through and see, okay, he have a really nice C1. Oh, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna try that out next, and just different things like that. That place is mostly there for it is like people to kind of like a library. You could think of like that. The private algo group is kind of like a library you get free access to, where you can see everybody prior history, knowledge, and things like that. You got stuff all the way back in the day from whenever the admins was still submitting their algorithms and stuff like that.
Get to see Judge's algo, mate.
Nah, I think he deleted it. I tried to look for it. I tried.
Actually use that? Fun, do they?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, because I typed in from Judge in private algo final, and I scrolled. He posted I think like 1 or 2, but the one that he was using for the back testing confirmation, I never saw it.
I've got another question for you as well. So, was it really hard to put together your first algo, and over time, is it becoming easier to put together algos?
So, hell putting together my first algorithm, it sucked. Cause like I was saying, I had to put together an algorithm and I had to find out how I was going to backtest the algorithm. So just doing all that at once, it sucked. And it like back in the day, it wasn't really no kind of guidance or anything. Everybody was kind of like, well, go test it, and we were like, well, how? Go find out. Okay. And it was really tough. But as you can see, the more practice I done got and everything, like with one of the current algorithms that I'm using, I put together in a month from the start of a C1 all the way to the finish. It took me about a month to make it, and it just like said, you come in time, and the value of like being able to eyeball something and just see how and imagine how stuff will play with each other, I believe is really good and great. Like excuse me, people like DM me. I will tell them, they say, hey, can you give me an opinion on my algorithm? I say, oh yeah, for sure, go ahead and send a screenshot of your algorithm and then show me your results, because from there I can already picture in my head how the indicators are playing with each other and things like that, and I can just say, okay, you might want to work on this, so you see this aspect, like say your profit factor is kind of low, you might want to try tweaking this one, or what do you think about it? Because I'm all for like help teaching people what to look for whenever you build an algorithm, not just necessarily directly giving them an answer, but I guess to just give you just a straightforward answer. For put together my first algorithm was terrible, but the more you build, the easier it get. Like I know since my name is Purple, it don't show, but I got the tag for algo guy because I was able to put together 5 profitable algos that met the criterion for it. So I'm really happy about that. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, the way you were describing it, you sounded like you were able to read The Matrix if you've seen the movie.
Yeah. Okay. Josh, did you have any questions?
Yeah, mate, I want to ask you how you're getting on. I want to see how you're getting on. Are you, so like, where are you at with your journey and stuff like that? Like, are you...
Oh, okay.
What are you doing with your prop firm? Like, how are you getting on with your algorithm, stuff like that, you know?
Oh, you flipping the script on me. But,
what are you doing with future?
So, I gotta say, right now, obviously, my short-term goal is to finally get funded with my prop firm, with the fivers that I'm with right now with my evaluation plan. And the long-term goal is to be able to just compound on that success and trade for multiple algorithms, and maybe even like say get in real good relationship with the CEOs of the companies, show them how valuable I am to maybe either allow me more money or like said take my talents to maybe like Maverick or somebody like that, where even though it's initial small capital, if you can get in really good with the CEO and they like you, things they trust you, they can give you more money to play with, and just things like that. I gotta say, just in the overall big aspects, is to just first start it off by just proving it to myself, knowing I could be profitable with my algorithm. Like I know I did my 6 months and it was good. By the way, second tip: whenever you're doing your 6 months, journaling is so freaking important. Take screenshots, write down what happened, what you thought. You'll thank yourself later. But jump back into the present. I failed my first prop firm evaluation, and now even though I say failed, I see it as a learning experience, because when I tell you I done learned so many lessons from being put under that pressure and having to perform is unforgettable. Like I gotta say, I would rather be failed at first attempt and I'm finna pass this second go around than to pass the first time, because like one big thing I never realized is one day I was just sitting around with like my family and everything, and that somebody was just playing on my phone, and they opened up a standard lot trade.
Oh.
And I lost $50, which is 0.5%. And I'm so happy I didn't get the risk violation on it, cause it was just like an open and close. But from just little mistakes like that, just help me out.
Gotta get your phone away from it, mate. Like laptop only, desktop only, you know.
or not, or I use the app to make like small like adjustment. Cause like I said, I got to make my trades when I'm at work, and so a lot of times it's easier to like move my stop loss to exact points and things like that from my phone. And then the prop firm group, we kind of do like weekly analysis, and it's just easier with having a phone app and everything. But I found out MT4 have a feature where you have to log into it. Like say you can set your thumbprint or a password or something like that, and other things like saying like using the trade assistant to being able to then from that point on being able to actually calculate your position size. Because what one thing I don't think, and VP could have went over it, but I don't remember, is that trading and things, I made a trade that was supposed to make $33, but it only made $13. And I was so upset because, like I said, you done put in all that hard work, but you haven't got your reward. And so I was like, because I still got the same number of pips, I think it was like 60 pips. And I'm trying to figure out why, because I did the right formula. I went back to the video. I did everything I needed to do, but guess what actually bit me in the butt, and that I want to make sure I let everybody else know.
Slippage?
Huh?
Slippage?
Nope.
Slippage?
Nope, it wasn't slippage. What it was is that, and this is something, each pair have a different lot size. So like say GDP JPY, one lot doesn't equal $10 US.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, that exists. And so I gotta factor that into it, and it's just like a whole, I could go on for days how many lessons.
You gotta just use a tool for that, man. I actually use an on chart indicator to calculate my lot sizing, because I just don't trust myself, and it's so much quicker.
Yeah, or the reason why I was doing that back then is because we didn't have the trading assistant to where you can go back in candles and readjust your ATR, because like big news events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Chris, did you take a big psychological hit when you didn't pass your first prop firm eval?
Yeah, of course, because it's like you kind of like just get the sense of down, just being down, and just kind of like down in the dumps. But then that's when I kind of just said, well, either I can just sit here and be upset, or I can be like, okay, take pull my bootstraps up and then let's get it. But what also was comforting is that I shared how I was feeling in the prop firm channel. And that a lot of people were saying, nah, it's all good, bro. And they started talking about their experiences, and that it's a lot of people who don't get it on their first go around and who have to do it for a second time and stuff like that. And mind you, it was definitely a big hit, because I'm so happy I'm seeing everybody finally getting funded and everything like that. But here while me, I just failed one, and it kind of like, well, I feel like I'm getting left behind, but I gotta realize that I'm just in a high level, and that I just need to just run my own race. Kind of like what I was just telling y'all earlier. I just need to be better than what I was yesterday. I don't need to be like Judge or Murray or Rick FX or Firelight or any of those guys. I just need to be the best A1 Ingram or Chris that I can be.
If you don't mind me asking, was it with the same prop firm?
Yeah, it was with the Fivers. Yeah, and one other tip, if you want to be like me and like compound on different prop firms and stuff like that, you can't trade, or you can trade with Fivers and CTI, but if you're gonna go about it, go Fivers first and then start scaling out. And also, Fivers is a really hard firm to pass. I believe if you can pass Fivers, you can do anything you want.
CTI, City Traders, right?
Yeah. And the reason why I said that is because in the terms and conditions, it talk about like you can't have multiple accounts with them, and that like companies like the Fiverr, CTI, Kickstart, and a couple other people, they have like all the same terms and conditions and trading settings, because some of them use the same funding source, and which means you can't have multiple accounts from that same funding source. But I believe CTI, from the last that I done saw in the Discord and everything, TTI have multiple funding sources where you can just let them know, hey, I'm already trading with the Fiverrs, can you set me up with another funding source, and they'll get you taken care of. But I don't think Fiverrs have that, not to my knowledge.
Do you rate CTI? I know you don't use them now, but have you like got any experience with them?
Nah, I haven't had no actual on-hand experience with them. But if you want to just trade from one firm alone, I would say go with CTI, because their evaluation is so way more easier than the Fiverrs, because it's structured the exact same, but instead of 6 months, you have a year.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. And did y'all have any more questions for me?
Yeah, I've got another one.
All right, shoot.
I've always got plenty. I've always got plenty of questions. So, if you could start the whole process again, this is good for like I don't know, myself, for other new people. What would you do differently?
Well, I would say what I would do differently if I had to just start everything over is that I wish I would have asked more questions about what I was going through and just doing like this. Because even though I'm the type of guy who kind of want to just keep my head down and just figure everything out myself, it would be a whole lot better if I was to actually communicate, because I think I'll be a little bit better community person and more like well known if I would just actually talk amongst like the general, like whenever I was coming up through the ranks, I only really talked in the general chat. Honestly, I didn't even know that it was a whole section for indicators, like indicator chat results and links, until Judge had told me I can only talk in the indicator chat. I'm like, wait, we have an indicator chat? And then I finally realized that we had it. So I gotta say, whenever I was first starting off, I would really like close mine and like to myself. I wish I was a little bit more open. Now mind you, I was a little bit younger and not really that confident or outgoing and stuff like that. But yeah, so I kind of wish I would be able to like talk more with people and stuff.
That's cool. I didn't realise you didn't know that there was an indicator channel on there.
I kind of just, I don't know. I got lucky and just kind of picked and choose like indicator packs. It's like it'll be pack of 100 indicators, and I'll just download the whole thing and then grab it.
Yeah, man.
And so, I guess we'll just take a quick side trip getting away from me to kind of tackle some questions that's going on in the live chat. So Caprica asks, when do you consider looking at a year-on-year results so you can see if your indicators are constantly profitable instead of giving one great year? How that makes sense. So, I have to say, going maybe year by year, I would say it should be if you're testing from 2017 to 2019, I believe it should be either like a downtrend or like a upside down parabola or something like that. It should be either one of those if you're just building a good no nonsense forest algorithm and things. And that like you said, you're completely right. It shouldn't be where like say year 2017 you only have 5 ROI, then year 2018 you have 28% ROI, and then 2019 you only have 1% ROI. Then that's what Josh, you was talking about with curve fitting and things. That means your algorithm really fit to do well in 2018, but not through anything else. Y'all thoughts on that?
Yeah, I personally think this is really, really, really important. I think just as important as backtesting generally anyway. So like, so many indicators I've tested, or algorithms I've tested, have gone through, and I always test from 1st of January 2017 to the 31st of December 2019, right? So
yeah.
3 years. And so many times, like, there'll be, like, the 3 years and the ROI will be like, minus 1, 12, 25, or something like that. And it's like, I think that is a really good way of understanding like a more consistent algorithm. Like I would much rather turn 10% a year every single year, you know, steady Eddie, consistent, like 10%, 10%, 10%, rather than like 5%, 20%,
Yeah.
10%. Because I just think like that's not a professional way to grow money. So I think that's a really, really good comment. And I think if you've got the time, I think it's really important to assess. We're talking about standard deviation again, but like standard deviation in a different form. It's the standard deviation of each year in the like in terms of the indicators. So like what I'm doing now is testing the indicator obviously for over those 3 years to just get like good feel of whether it's a good indicator or not. And then sort of like once I've got maybe 100 C1s tested, I'll pick like the top 5 or 10, especially with like the optimization on the back tester and things like that, and pick the most consistent setting, not necessarily the highest setting for inputs on those periods of time, because I think that is really, really, really important and fundamental for trade psychology as well.
Yeah.
How do you stop yourself from over optimizing?
Well, the standard deviation is getting away from over-optimizing anyway, I think, mate. Because what you're doing, let's say, for example, if you've got an indicator that gives you, I don't know, 70% win rate over those 3 years, or whatever it might be, it might have just had a really good last year or first year or whatever, by looking at the discrete performance, which is, you know, taking each individual year on its own merits, I would rather an indicator that gave me like 65%, 65%, 65% in those individual discrete years, rather than 75% overall. You know, really disparity between the three. I think that is one way to avoid curve fitting generally, by taking on by doing it that way. And that was something that I picked up on the back testing stuff, is that a lot of the indicators and a lot of the ROI that you get based off of really specific hot periods of time. You get like big returns in a really like short period of time, and then you're in drawdown. I just don't think that is like the right way that we should be trading, in my opinion. Because you want to be, if you want to live off the income, if I said to you boys now, like, oh, I've got an algorithm that returns 1% a month. Well, it doesn't sound amazing, but I would take that every single day of the week. Every single day of the week.
Yeah.
1% every month. You know what you're getting. You know what your return is. You're consistent, other than something that returns 20% a year. You know, but in a really like erratic way. So yeah, I think that's how I'm combating my curve fitting, by taking each individual bit consistent.
Consistency is the key.
Yes,
that
sir.
certainly is, mate. Yeah.
I remember I always, like, on Instagram, because like I said, I like investments and money and economics and all that. I will always see like somebody will talk about it's better to invest like $5 a day than to just do that same equivalent one time a month, because the way it just compound interest and growing and stuff like that, kind of like how you were saying.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Lodix Thai. He asked a couple questions, and we're going to try to get to them. So he said, right now I have no exit indicator yet. I have a basic trailing stop loss when I hit take profit. Every time price goes a candle more in the right direction, I move the stop loss. I base this blah 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 off of VP has taught us, but I don't understand. Should I use the ATR value of the trade entry or the current ATR value, and why? I know I should test it if ATR 1.5 ATR or something else work better, but I don't understand the ATR value is the same during all the trade, or this value is adjusted at every candle. So personally, like for me, what I like to do is just keep the ATR just from the beginning, to just keep a same and consistent value. It helps you whenever you're back testing and just live testing, because that is where your trade is based off of. That's kind of like we don't kind of wait till like after the candle close or something like that. it's kind of like I like just keeping myself consistent and uniform. What would y'all say to that? I think y'all might have a little bit better opinion than that. Basically, what he or she asking about is, as far as trailing stop, should you use the ATR of the current candle or the ATR of your entry? I know VP taught us entry and stuff, but what would you say your reasoning and thoughts behind it is? Hello?
Sorry, you broke up again.
So I did. I'll take this one, buddy. Yeah, I think, look, lots of people have got different viewpoints on uses of trading stops and how to get out of a trade, you know, in the best manner. I think, first and foremost, your exit indicator is what gets you out. Like, your trailing stop, in my point of view, is exactly that. It's a trailing stop loss. So it should only be really used when, you know, there's a real, you know, adverse move against the trade in the market once you've taken profit. What I personally do is, and it's slightly like a psychology thing and repetition and all that sort of stuff is, but when I place the trade, I work out, and this is VP's rules, I work out what 2 times the ATR is, and I actually put a line on the chart, that horizontal line on the chart, that when I go back and revisit the trade, if it ever crosses and closes above 2 times the ATR, I will then just set a trailing stop for 1.5 times the ATR when I went in. So I use my FX book to track all of my trades. So what I'll do is I'll write down the percentage of like risk taken, basically, at that time. And then like what type of trade it was, and then what the ATR was at that point. So that when I go over that line, when I see the visually that the trade has crossed over that trailing stop point, I implement a 1.5 times ATR trailing stop. But my point of view is that you shouldn't really be hitting your trailing stop. Like, your exit indicator should get you out before that, really.
Yeah, you executed.
Hey, Josh,
go ahead.
Do you check your trades more than once a day?
I want to say no, but yeah, I do. But I won't. The only thing I'll do in the day, and it's only because I'm in front of my computer all day as well. So I'm not, I'm not taking any extra time to trade or anything like that. I'll only place a trade at the allotted time, but I will move my stop loss to break even. That's the only thing I'll do during the day.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing at all.
And so, like, I watch my trades sometimes because, like I said, I'm in front of the computer, but I will never ever place a trade at any other time because the sound logic of why we're doing it at that point, it makes so much more sense to me. So I wouldn't jump out of a trade, and it goes back to this thing that I was saying right at the start, where we are the issue, like we're the problem with trading. Like, our algorithm is designed to do its job. So I'm just really strict in saying, like, look, I'm happy to watch how my trades are playing out, but I have strong enough like resistance to be like, if I see it dropping the other way, I won't go in and go, oh, you know, I'll exit it soon or whatever, because it's got a funny way of coming back to bite you when, you know, you'll get out and then it will continue going on the same way and your exit won't have given you a signal, kind of thing. So yeah, the only thing I do during the day is if I hit take profit, and a bit like you, mate, I will do it on my phone just really quick if I'm out and about as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, because my bloody mic went down again. So you're saying the same thing, Chris? That you check it during the day?
Oh no, so I was just saying, like, yeah, it's using the phone to make small adjustments, but I don't really check it during the day because, like, I'm busy and everything. And that I use a no nonsense forward trading assistant, so it automatically does it for me as long as my computer up and running. And the only other time, like I said, now everybody's not perfect. Sometimes I would take a peek to see where the trades are at, but other than that, I don't make any adjustments or anything, because as what happened in the first prop firm evaluation, I would think I know more than the market and try to like, oh, okay, I'm gonna put my stop loss here because to make it where it can only go up. Well, it will go down, hit my take profit, then go up and make me look like an idiot. But yeah,
this way is what we got to do.
But yeah, that's like what you saying, what you call humans and just our emotions and stuff and us thinking is what gets in the way of us trading a whole lot of times. So I guess just to keep it moving along before we actually get back to y'all questions y'all have, is Master Gaming asks, why did I join the Fivers? Is that I saw that whenever VP dropped his prop firm video, I didn't have enough money for Maverick because I'm a broke college student. And that funded traders, I didn't really like their profit splits and just like the way how much capital you have to invest, and I'm like, it got to be something else out there. And he also taught us in the video, not necessarily just gave us he taught us what to look for. And so I went into Discord, I did my searching, I did my research, I found a lot of people talking about the Fivers, and I saw them, I liked their business model, kind of like their website, and I chatted with the help desk a little bit, and I really like how just their customer service and things like that, and I just said, you know what, I think that's the place I needed to be. And then as I was in my evaluation, I kind of like found out, well, compared to other firms, Fivers is not the best, but I'm always like, you know what, give me the hardest thing you got, hit me with your best punch from the start, so then at that point I'm gonna be able to get you right after that. Because if you can pass Fivers, like I've been saying earlier, you can do anything you want.
FTMO, mate, trying to pass 10% in a month or whatever it is.
I don't think that's possible. You got to be lucky to hit that.
Yeah, man, it is impossible. It drives me crazy, really. Like when people see it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's easy. It's like, well, let me tell you now, if you're returning, if you manage to pass the FTMO challenge, it was a complete fluke, and you're over risking. End of conversation. Like, it's just it's not proper trading.
Wait, what was the last part you said?
The FTMO challenge, right? If you pass that FTMO challenge and you've got 10% in 1 month, that was either complete luck that you just hit it right on that month. Yeah. Or you're risking far too much to be a sustainable long-term trader.
But I think actually the admin Nate, he was able to pass the FTMO challenge, and I think he's like a really special case. It's not the normal. He he make a special case. He was able to kind of convert his no nonsense forex algorithm to something a little bit faster, to where it can be able to pass stuff like FTMO challenge and other prop firms. And like that's what what you say?
Who was that?
Nate, the admin.
Alright. So he returns 120% a year, does he?
I don't know about that. I can't talk about that. I just know he been like I said, he first started off with the Fivers too, and what I really liked, and that he been funny for a while. He know, and I believe he a really good trader and things like that. And I know he was able to somehow pass the FTMO challenge, and I don't know what's his plans for the future, but I just know that, like I said, he just a really successful trader.
Oh, listen, look, if he can return 10% a month every single month, tell him I've got a job for him.
I will let him know. But did y'all? Well, I guess I'll just answer his question real quick before I can turn it back into y'all. Hey, what's up, Liquid? Liquid was on the podcast just the other day. I'm glad to see him. But Dash Dorji, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. He asked, when you're back testing and then you find the worst settings, do you just go the opposite direction? That's kind of like what we was talking about earlier today with the indicator. We're just doing the opposite. It's kind of like a mathematical fallacy, and that that even though you might do the opposite, you can still get worse. So like the way you can think of it, like a bell curve, if you know statistics, where on the left is an outlier and that's not good at all. On the right side, it's an outlier and that's not good at all. You have to find something in the middle. Victor or Mark, what would y'all have to say for that? Josh, Mark?
I think we lost him again. So for me, it's like I said, I think we talked about it earlier, didn't we? Like it's a really weird phenomenon in statistics and stuff like that. But it would make so much sense to find an indicator that gave you like 20% win rate, right, and then just do the exact opposite, and you'd get 80%. But I can't really explain it. I don't know why, but it's just this fallacy, this weird mathematical fallacy that it never like works out like that. And of course, the way that we structure our trading and our wins and stuff like that, it just doesn't works out like that. It would be nice and easy, wouldn't it?
For real. But I think I did a pretty okay job, because to me that in that mind that makes sense about like the bell curve and things. Are you familiar with that?
Again, it's the famous standard deviation, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that's where standard deviation comes from and stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the outliners. You want to be somewhere near the middle, really. But yeah. So I mean, I think with all this stuff, you can like really overthink it, and it's one of those things that like if you're getting rubbish results from an indicator, I think it's quite a bad mentality to just go, oh, what I'll do is I'll just do the exact opposite of it and get decent returns. It seems quite counterintuitive to me, and it doesn't work as well. So I'd say go out and find a better indicator, really.
For real. But Victory, did you have any other questions for me?
Not for you specifically, mate. I was just interested in finding out a bit more about you and where your journey is, you know.
All right, what's up? I'm an open book. Or
I mean, so you're on track with your prop firm and stuff like that. Are you like going well?
Yes, sir. Right now, I'm hovering around 3.5% unrealized profit loss. Yes, sir. Because I caught a whole bunch of good trends with the cow, with the in New Zealand dollar. A couple of those trades, I caught that really nice. Yeah. And I gotta say, it's playing on my psychology so freaking much, because it's kind of like I'm seeing the 3.5% profits whenever it's time to trade and stuff, and I'm just like, dog, I don't want to lose it. I want to just lock the profits in, because like say, it's my dream to be a prop firm trader. It's kind of like it's almost there, but I'm like, you know what? I still gotta stick to my roots, keep doing what I'm doing, and trust the process. Because I'm in.
Do it, man. Keep going.
I'm in only, I think only over a little bit a month now.
It's good numbers, mate. That's good. That's good stuff. So you're 3.5% up in sort of floating profit in a month, I think.
Yeah, and 1% realized profit.
Yeah, but mate, that's what I mean about like realistic expectations of returns. Is that like, to me, that's perfect. Like that is amazing. Like that is, in my view, what consistent, sensible, professional trading looks like. All of this going, oh yeah, I can, you know, term 10% a month, and you know, I can do this, that, and the other. It's all rubbish, mate. I will put my house on it. People cannot do that over the longer term. You know, I think anything more than about 1 or 2% per month on average is pretty good, mate. You've got to be a very, very good trader to hit that pretty consistently. Yeah, that's cool, man. It's good to hear.
So
what's the target, Chris?
Oh, the target 6%, so $600. Now I gotta say, whenever I'm close to 600, that's when I am going to probably break the rules a little bit more and watching my trades a little bit closer, because fivers, they don't pay out no more than that 6%, and so I'm gonna make sure I lock my stuff in whenever I get close to that point.
Mate, that sounds logical, because all you're trying to do is pass the the sort of provision, right? Pass the test initially, and then move on. So just as soon as you get to that level, bank your profit, move on properly, you know?
Yep. For real, man. For real. Mark, I know you probably got about 17 questions left in you.
No, I think I'm actually getting a little tired.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised you're still awake, mate.
Yeah, I gotta say we've been talking to each other for about 2 hours. I don't know if I like y'all anymore.
Bored of each other's voices, mate.
Nah, but I guess I'm gonna give it probably like 1 to 2 minutes. Anybody else watching in the chat have any questions? I gotta say, I
quite good question.
What you say?
Sorry, Mark, go on, mate.
Sorry, you guys broke up again.
Oh, I was saying I was just gonna give it a couple minutes for the chat to ask questions.
Been quite a few good questions on the chat, I think.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just asked a really good question. He said, "Is it me or A1Fx is the only American that been in the last few podcasts, like 75% British?" I think last podcast, Air Jordan, he was an American, but everybody else been overseas. And actually, now that I have you on stream, that's a question I want to ask for you, Josh. So like, UK is really big for Forex, and is it kind of like the way the United States is big about the stock market? Are y'all big about Forex, or like what? Like, what's the big craze about it?
That's a really good question, mate. I don't actually know, because like before, I would say before before like finding Forex trading like the last year or so, it wasn't something that I was really aware of. I think it is quite big in the UK. I think anything in the UK investment wise is pretty big because of, like a large proportion of our GDP and stuff like that is financial services related. So quite a lot of people work in financial services, work in investment, like that. So it's quite prevalent in our professions a lot. So it's probably just that, really. And we like to think we're cool as well and trade the markets. So yeah, I don't know really why. We're quite industrious, I think. We're quite hungry for business and for profits and for money and stuff like that. So it's probably a combination of all of those things,
Okay. Well, I gotta say hello to Rodrigo. I'm sorry, and Francisco. Y'all came at the very end of the stream. I gotta say, and we hit 25 viewers again. I gotta say, I appreciate that. And so I know everybody getting a little bit tired and everything. So I'm gonna just go ahead and end it good instead of just having a 5-hour long stream. So first, I gotta say I appreciate y'all two coming on to the stream, sticking y'all necks out to just be able to just be here and just talk about your ideas and opinions. I know it's a lot of times we may not have agreed, but I'm glad we was able to share our Discord and be able to just put our ideas out there just for anybody to like pick and choose, and we kind of also help each other a little bit. Like Josh, you really helped me out a lot with just talking about the standard deviation, and Mark, you really kind of like opened up my mindset to not just thinking, okay, my way of thinking is all good, and that there's other difference of opinions out there that I need to take into consideration that can be better than mine. And I'm just really always open for that feedback. Any last comments or thoughts from y'all?
From me, I'd just like to thank you for inviting me on the podcast today, and thank you for all the help you've been giving me along the way.
Josh?
Same here, really. I think, mate, to you as well, Chris. Just keep up what you're doing. I think it's as you can see from everyone's questions and stuff like that, people really value what you've done and what you still are doing with this. So they just keep going, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I think you're earning good karma, mate, and I reckon you're going to pass your prop.
Yes, sir.
Good stuff, man.
I'm gonna make sure everybody know it, but like I said, I gotta appreciate y'all. I can't wait to see y'all names in yellow and purple, and maybe everybody's name could be green. Who knows? But yeah. I gotta say, first, I hope everybody who's watching have a great rest of your day or night wherever you're from. And if y'all have any other questions, and I'm gonna try to tackle these questions after I end the live stream. But if y'all do have any other last questions, message me on Discord. It's at the bottom. Have a wonderful day,
guys.
See ya.